Welcome to the podcast, What the Flex, where I talk to badass women about their health, wellness, and fitness journeys. My name is Uta, and I am your host. Today's guest, Shanzi, has been on a fitness journey that's anything but ordinary. From the pressures of competitive sports to redefining what healthy actually means, she's learned that the real flex isn't about aesthetics, it's about strength, balance, and knowing what works for you. We're diving into everything, the myths of the supplement industry, the underrated power of hydration, and why Pilates might just be the sneaky game changer you've been missing. Plus, we get real about social media, self-worth, and why chasing beauty standards is a losing game. Curious? You should be. Let's get into it. And now, keep flexing, enjoy listening. Hello, and welcome to my today's guest, Shanzi. I'm very, very happy that you're here. Actually, I also know Shanzi from work, as some of my other guests previously. But I think we only really connected after we both stopped working at Pleo. Yeah. And I don't remember specifically how this came about, but we once met for coffee and matcha lattes. And then we figured out that we have so many things in common, and we're both super into longevity and health and fitness. We haven't brought the coffees. I mean, I didn't. Maybe you do. And teas. But we certainly brought the topics. So I'm very, very curious and excited to be speaking about those in this format, maybe in depth. And to kick things off, we're going to do things a little bit differently today because Shanzi sent me or spoke about her life story with focus on fitness and health previously. And I want to start off by kind of going back in time and then unraveling as we go in this podcast, your life story and what you have kind of learned or experienced for yourself. And let's see how this goes. But let me start by asking you, Shanzi, you told me that you were born and raised in the US in Boston by immigrant parents. And you said normally is not really, or it doesn't really affect someone's health or fitness or whatnot. But for you, it had a specific influence. How was that? What was it?
Yeah, I think growing up, my parents weren't so much into like health and wellness as we think about it today. They mainly wanted us to like eat well, and they weren't really focusing on us doing any sorts of sports or activities. Whereas I felt like I had a lot of friends who were on soccer teams or going to swim lessons or, from a very young age already involved in this. My parents were like, get good grades and come home and sleep well. And they weren't really, into this whole idea of like joining sports teams. I think also because they were immigrants, they were mainly focused on like surviving. They were like, life was already complicated enough for them that all of these kind of like extracurricular activities weren't even on their radar. So I feel like, most people I know, they started doing kind of these like activities, even if they didn't like it from a very young age, they're trying a lot of stuff. I feel like because I had the parents that I did, like I didn't get exposed to sports until like a much later time.
And was that because it was driven by you or what you experienced or observed in your surroundings, like other kids do stuff? I have to do that too.
It was more like I was always interested. Like I would be, in my backyard kicking around a soccer ball, and then I would hear my friends talk about their soccer teams, and I'd be like, Dad, can I train soccer? And he's like, I gotta work. I don't have time to drive you to soccer. Like that's expensive. I don't have time to like do all of these things. Or I remember one summer I was obsessed with the Olympics, and in the US, we're always obsessed with like the women's gymnastics team. And I learned how to do like all these flips and crazy stretches. And my sisters were like, you should put her in like gymnastics. Like that would be so cool. Like look how flexible she is. My dad was like, I do not have time for that. Like I'm trying to put food on the table. I have like places to be, places to go. So I just think, again, it wasn't like a priority for them because the countries that they came from, people are not playing like organized sports as children. They're like working, going to school, studying. So I think it was just maybe a little bit of a culture thing, but also just like, I think them being in a new country, like not knowing that that's the norm kind of prevented my sisters and I from getting involved at such a young age. And it was more that when we were a little bit older, could take care of ourselves a bit more in that like high school age where we had autonomy to like go places by ourselves and like get ourselves to a game or a practice, that we were really like starting to get involved in sports in that way.
Yeah, you mentioned actually that only in high school you started, I think, to join. You did track, you did volleyball, you at some point even joined the rowing team. So It sounds like you went a little crazy on now I'm going to try everything that I have not done so far.
Exactly. I was a bit like the world is my oyster. Like I can drive, I can do things and get myself places. So I was a bit at first with volleyball and track, just kind of following in my sister's footsteps because they were much older than me. So I was like looking at things that they had success with and then trying them for myself. And it was funny because the rowing team at my high school started when I was there. So it wasn't something that like my sisters had heard about. It wasn't something that like anyone knew. And kind of just like I met these girls who were like, we're going to try rowing. And I really liked them. And we were all kind of like hanging out. So I was like, yeah, I'll try it too, I guess. And it just became so much fun. We had like amazing coaches. And it really was like the place. I feel like it was my third place. There's always like your home, your school, but then like the place you meet people and hang out. It became like going to these rowing practices for me. And I don't think I was like the best rower at all. I was like, I'm really small. I don't have like a rower's bill, but I just like was so happy just to be there and to have that kind of like friendship and camaraderie and like also do like a physical activity. You always feel good after you have those endorphins. So it was just like my happy place doing this sport after school.
Are you still rowing, by the way? I have a rowing machine at home. I love it. Like, it's a nice full body exercise. Are you still doing it today?
Sometimes I will get on the erg. It's called an ergometer. So sometimes I'll get on it and then like I immediately regret it because I just have like such bad memories of like being on them. And we would do these like 2K tests. That's like the spring. In the spring, the races are 2 kilometers long. And so we would practice on the ergs at school, like on the machines. And it was like not in your stomach the whole day, knowing you had this like fitness test during practice. Because then they would use the scores of your fitness test to put you in the boat. And it was just like so stressful. And I remember like dreading it. And I told myself when I quit eventually in college, I told myself like I would never get on one again. And once in a while here and there, I'm like, oh, maybe I'll try. Or now there are these like high rocks competitions and rowing is one of the things on there. And I really want to do one. I think that's the thing I'm most scared of. Like, I'm not scared of the burpees. I'm not scared of like running. I am scared of the rowing machine section.
Okay, interesting. So you're also into high rocks. I have a big respect, like for everyone that's doing that, because it takes like 1 hour 15 or something, depending on how fast you complete this, but it's high intensity throughout the entire hour, right?
It's intense. I've been I got this idea from my partner. Like sometimes we'll just do it on a random day. We like look up all the exercises. We'll go to the gym and be like, let's do high rocks today. So we haven't competed in a real competition actually, but like yeah, I'll go to the gym and just like do ski machine, erg, burpees, the machine ball toss, like just for fun by myself.
My God. I mean, fingers crossed for practicing, and let me know if ever you compete at a high rocks.
Maybe is it on your bucket list too?
No, I mean, I did think about it, but then again, I mean, I've started bodybuilding now, so my focus is a bit in a different area, and I don't feel like high rocks would fit that right now. Maybe one day, I don't know if I'm feeling adventurous, but I know a few other like former colleagues that do it, and they have competed last year, and some that will compete soon. So yeah, it's a thing.
Yeah, I didn't know anyone who's done it. Like I don't know anyone personally, but I feel like it's getting more and more popular.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's an interesting thing for sure. Anyway, fingers crossed for that. But coming back to your high school time, rowing and everything, and you did mention that at some point you kind of stopped everything, and it kind of sounds like that it got too competitive for you, or the competitiveness in your rowing destroyed the fun in it. Like why did you stop with this?
Well, there's a little bit of context. So I was rowing for a little bit and then I became a coxswain. A coxswain is the person in the boat who is steering the boat, who is like yelling the commands and steering. To be a coxswain, you have to be quite small. Like your weight is very important. So you have to be quite thin and lightweight. And these are like the most important parts of being a coxswain is that you're not dead weight dragging down the boat, but they need someone to steer. So I became really unhealthily focused on my weight and making sure I was very small and that I looked small so that like no one would question my weight. And in high school, I already felt like I had some pretty like unhealthy habits around this because while other people were rowing and they were burning calories, I was sitting in the boat. So I would go to practice and I would be there for like the 2-3 hours, steering the boat, doing the commands, being part of the team. But then after practice, I felt like I also had to like go for super long runs and do my own workout so I would stay fit. So it became kind of this like monstrous time commitment for me. And then when I was in university, I was a coxswain for a men's rowing team. So I felt like with all the pressures of college and partying and going out and staying fit, I also had like joined this team that was a men's team. And there was also kind of like an unhealthy focus on my body image. And it was always like in the context of rowing, already being that age, like you're between, 18 and 21, you're already kind of like hyper focused on your body and how you look. And so I think the main reason I decided not to be involved in rowing anymore was because I felt like I was not enjoying the actual physical activity of it, the time commitment that was required of going to practice, being the coxswain, and then also having to work out outside of it. And also just my mental health around my body image. Like I just spent so much time, so much energy thinking about this. And I didn't want to, I wanted to think about other things or like do other things or find a form of movement that wasn't just about like being small.
Okay, wow. I did not know that actually, that rowing actually drove you into this kind of spiral where you got so focused on how you look that you're thin and tiny and petite
Yeah.
because otherwise you're kind of like the culprit that takes the boat down and shit like that.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
mean,
And there would be like rowing races. So in boats, there's lightweight rowing and heavyweight rowing.
yeah.
And coxswains, they have to be a certain weight at least or under a certain weight. And I remember when I would go to regattas, the coxswains, we all had to go be weighed. And that sounds like not a big deal, but I think as someone who is so focused on her body image, like being weighed next to all these other really tiny people, it's like, it's not a great feeling at that age. Or even hearing comments like, oh, Shanzi weighs X amount of pounds and like the other person weighs this amount of pounds. Like we want that person, even though they're a less good coxswain. And then it's like at home, you're eating dinner and like my mom is like trying to feed me all this food. And I'm like, Mom, like I need to be thin. I need to like make weight. And just like, I remember just having really bad eating habits around that time. And I wanted to not have that pressure anymore.
Oh my God. I don't even want to imagine how must have felt being there and then coming home, your parents just making you dinner and all you're thinking is about a comment that you heard that day, you know? You also mentioned that that was kind of the time, I think, or maybe it was a different time. You can, just let me know where you ran a lot, like so much over the weekend as well, that you almost needed the entire week to recover from the strain that your body went through. And was that around that time?
Yeah, it was when I stopped rowing because when you're part of a team, you have such like a schedule of workouts, right? You basically show up and they tell you what to do. And so when you're not part of that anymore and then you're on your own, I didn't know what to do. I was like, do I like go lift weights? Like, do I run the elliptical? Like, I was kind of like a total noob at the gym. Like, I did not know what to do. So I was like, oh, I'll just like run. People who run are skinny and they seem fit. So I'll just do that. But I wasn't a runner from before. So I would just, look at the map and pick a spot, be like, I'm going to run here today. And sometimes it would be crazy distances like 15K, 20K. I would just like go for a run and I would come home and be super sore because I wasn't like training properly. So I would go on this like long run on Sunday and then like not be able to work out to like Wednesday or Thursday again. Like, so it was just like a unhealthy loop. And then by the time I was like, okay, it's the weekend, I'm gonna go out. Okay, I like drank too much or I ate too much. Let me like burn all the calories off on Sunday. It was just this like endless cycle of not really knowing how to like train consistently or have a real training plan, or just even understanding like what a training is. Like, why shouldn't you go run 15 kilometers on a Sunday without any training? So I think like this was after I stopped being part of a team. I didn't know how to structure my workouts. I didn't know like what to even do. Should I be going to the gym? Should I be going to classes? Should I go for runs? Like I really had no idea.
I always wonder because the first thought when you think, oh, I want to lose weight is, oh, I need to go for a run. I was the same. I thought the only way to lose weight and look good and be skinny and toned or shaped or whatnot is to run a lot. And I did crazy things. Sometimes I went running before even going to school and then after school. And then I had trainings on Fridays and then I did the same on the weekends. And punishing myself even with and then also not eating, but you need to eat a lot if you train a lot, right? And I don't know why where's that information, especially for those young people.
Yeah. And it's funny because now that I've like learned a lot about like wellness and fitness and whatnot, running, it increases your appetite so much versus
Yeah.
like maybe something that's like a little bit more low impact. So when you're running, you're ravenous. You're like could come home and eat so much. And then it's kind of this yo-yo diet almost, where it's like you're burning a bunch of calories, but you're starving. And then maybe you're restricting because you want to lose weight. But then, eventually you have to like binge on something. And it's just such an unhealthy cycle again when you're working out but without like the right information behind it.
Yeah. And I remember I was always craving carbs. I mean, naturally, right? If you burn so much, and then as a woman, you always think carbs are so bad. I eat
Mhm.
so many carbs today. And when I saw first my meal plan, I was like, she must be kidding. Like my coach, right? She gave me a meal plan, and I'm like, I can't eat that many carbs. But I did. And I feel really good, because I train hard, I train a lot. So I just need to eat a lot.
You're fueling your body, and then you can go and do even more at the gym and you feel good and you feel strong versus like I used to do a lot of fasted workouts. Like I was like, I need to go to the gym without eating anything and like that's gonna like burn more calories. I don't know. I don't know where I had this information, but I would go to the gym and feel like weak. Like I would be like, seeing stars after lifting some weights. And now I don't do that anymore and I feel so good.
Are you still doing the fasted workouts, by the way?
No, now I don't. Like once in a while, maybe by mistake, or if it's like super early in the morning and I'm really not hungry. But usually I try to eat something small even before I go work out. So if it's like half a banana or like some leftovers from the night before, just to get something in my stomach. And also I try to eat before caffeine. So I love coffee. I love matcha, but I feel like when I have caffeine on an empty stomach, I'm super jittery and anxious. So I
Yeah.
always in the morning now try to eat something small. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, me too. But no food, no workout for me.
Yeah.
Simple as that.
Honestly,
Yeah.
yeah. It just like I think you can perform better with a little bit of food in your system.
Yeah, certainly. Yeah. Shanti, you also said something interesting that while we're speaking about working out and cardio and running a lot, that you did cardio to kind of outrun your eating habits or your diet. How did you change that mindset? I mean, this kind of goes into what we just talked about, right? How did you realize that you don't need to outrun your diet, but your diet is actually supporting what you can do on a
Yeah.
fitness level?
Oh, like when I think about my fitness journey, I feel like it's pretty linear and like pretty in line with most other people. Like you're doing something that doesn't work, and then you figure it out. When I think about my eating journey, it is like all over the place, and I don't even know where to start. Because, okay, going back to my childhood, like my diet was literally like my parents are South Asian, so we ate a lot of rice. We ate really late at night. There wasn't kind of like salads. Like I would go to dinner at my friends' houses and they would eat at like 5 p.m. and it would be like chicken breast, salad, and some rice. Like my mom would cook feasts every night. It was like veggies, chicken curry, rice. Like we had like our fridge stocked. And so I was like just eating like that mainly. And then when I like grew up a little bit, maybe in the high school age, I started being like, I don't want all of those like more like ethnic foods. I want to eat more like what my friends are eating. So then I started eating a lot of like just sandwiches, a lot of like kind of junk food and all of these things. And I would get really annoyed because my friends, I don't know if it was their genetics or just being young, but they would eat like Oreos and chips and whatever and still be like super thin, super toned. And I was like not reacting the same way at all. So I think this was like the first light bulb moment where I was like, people have different body types and people, hold weight in different places. And if I eat exactly the same thing as my best friend, we're going to look different. Like it's not, we're just not going to process things the same way. So I had that light bulb moment. And I think it's still fairly easy to eat kind of healthy when you're at home with your parents or with, I had two older sisters who were very much like working out and trying to eat healthy. So I had a lot of influence from them. But I think when I went to university and I lived by myself for the first time, I had like no idea diet. Like I was eating pasta and some like salad covered in mayo and like such random stuff that I thought was healthy, but it really wasn't. And I think this is just the reality of like American dining hall food. Like it's not the best for you. And I was again eating what all my friends were eating, but not considering the fact that we have different genetics, that we have different body types. And I was just kind of doing what everyone else was doing. So I definitely had my like freshman 15, like I gained a lot of weight during that time and I didn't really understand why. So this is where I went into like yo-yo dieting. Like I would be super restrictive and then like binge on the weekends and then just keep doing that, keep doing that. But I was never like super toned at all. And I think it was only when I graduated and I started really like had a reality check with myself of like, what is going on? Why, you don't feel good in your body. What can you do to make it better? It was when I was more consistent in the gym, but also really focused on my diet. Like I tried to only eat whole foods or like one ingredient foods 80% of the time. And then 20% of the time I was still going out to dinner, having fun, having like cake at work, whatever it was. Like I didn't want to restrict myself. But when it was me cooking, I was really like, okay, this is like a one ingredient thing. It's not coming in a package. It's not like wrapped in plastic. And I think that's when I really started to learn how to eat for myself. When I moved to Berlin and I started being in a relationship with my partner, he's also super into like health and wellness and taught me a lot. But we did a lot of different things during that time too, like intermittent fasting. We tried so many different like prepared meal plans, like HelloFresh, or where they like deliver meals to your house and it has like the amount of protein that you need for the day, like customized meals. So we tried a lot of different things. At one point, we were doing fasting for a full day for 36 hours. So like on Mondays, we wouldn't eat. And we did this for I think like 2 or 3 months. And I will say I did lose a lot of weight, but I was so cranky and I was so just not in a good mood. Like not eating plus working is the worst combo. So when I think we tried a lot of different things. And at the end of the day, like what works for me is none of this like these fad diets or like following a certain meal plan or this and that. It's like eat whole foods, eat enough protein, get your vegetables in, like eat the rainbow and eat until you're like 80% full. Because I think another thing is growing up in this like immigrant household, we really were told to like eat everything on our plate. Like it was so bad to leave food on your plate. And my mom would always tell me like, there are kids who would love to have this food. So I always felt pressure to like finish everything. Or when I went out to eat at restaurants, I would finish my whole portion because I didn't want to like waste money. And I think it was only like now as an adult where I'm like, I have more control over how I eat, leftovers, food, cooking for myself, portion sizes, that I'm like, I don't need to finish this. I can put it away for tomorrow, or I can like just put less on my plate. And I think just eating until you're just 80% full, it also allows you to have a little bit more leeway on what you're eating. So that was a very long-winded answer, but I've had quite the journey with eating. And I think when I eat like how I do now, I don't feel like I need to punish myself with working out and, outrun the calories I ate the previous day. So I think having the healthier relationship with food also then led me to have a healthier relationship with exercise.
Wow. I also got some of these sentences that parents make you believe. If you don't finish your plate, the sun's not going to shine tomorrow. And that's how you learn. If I don't eat everything, then something's wrong. Like I had to learn too that it's okay not to eat everything and to listen. Like I completely forgot or didn't even learn how to listen to my body when it's full. I didn't even know what satisfaction when eating meant. It's so weird. Like it totally resonates with me when you say eat until you're 80% full. Like, what is 80%? How does that feel? That's a journey.
That is a journey. And I used to have like a meal journal kind of to figure out like, how do I feel after eating this? Or like, okay, I just went to the restaurant and I had too much. And then kind of like reminding myself of it's not about like what exactly we eat, but it's like, how does that make you feel? And I think I did that for like maybe a month at one point. And I think doing that taught me a lot about just like, how do you want to feel after this? Like, if you eat that, you're going to feel like crap. And sometimes I still eat that thing because I like it. But I'm like prepared to be like, okay, you're gonna need to like lie on the couch for an hour after you have this.
What are the things that you've kind of like thrown out of your meal plan, but that you sometimes still eat that make you feel bad?
For me, it's mac and cheese. Or like in Germany, I love Christmas markets and having like Käsespätzle stuff. Like I love this, but I like always feel sick after I eat this.
Oh my God.
That would be so good. Honestly, sometimes too, when I get really hyper fixated on one thing that's like maybe not so great for you, I just take like a week to like eat it every day and then I'm sick of it. So sometimes I give in to my cravings and I'm just like, I'm gonna eat this and eventually I won't want it anymore. And that sometimes really
Yeah, I totally agree. It's best sometimes then if your mind is constantly thinking about that stuff, just eat it. It's fine, right? I'm craving a donut, but it doesn't fit my meal plan. it's okay. Like my body obviously wants a donut right now, so I'm going to give it to you, you know? And then
And sometimes when you have it, it's like not even that great, if that makes sense.
yes.
You have a few bites and you're like, okay, I don't want this anymore.
Yeah.
One thing that also helped me is like I used to have a really big sweet tooth and now I don't. But one like kind of rule I set for myself was that like if I want a brownie, instead of baking a whole tray of brownies and having them at home, I'll just like go out and get the brownie, have one, and then I'm fine. I'm not craving it anymore.
Yeah.
So I think that's also a nice way. I try not to keep too many treats in my house because I don't have too much self-control. Like if I have the chocolate bar, I'm going to eat the whole chocolate bar. So I'm like, I just don't keep it in my house. And when I go out, I do indulge a little bit here and there.
Yeah. So going back to what you said about what you learned about nutrition and that it's been like up and down, it kind of also refers to one of your passion topics, because I always ask my guests, like, what is your passion topic? And you mentioned three actually. And one of them was that you have figured out that back to basics is the thing for you. And I think the same goes for foods, right? Get your veggies, get your protein, just eat healthy and good, listen to your body. So I think that really resonates with kind of shows that the entire journey that you've been through apparently when it
Yeah.
comes to food.
I think like I'm someone who loves podcasts and reading books and, I subscribe to newsletters about health and people who create cool recipes. And I feel like I'm always kind of plugged in. And every few months, I'm like a bit overwhelmed. Because of course you can always optimize for things. You can optimize your workout split and your diet and have exactly this many grams of ground beef and this many vegetables. And I remember at one point there was something that like you should eat 30 different vegetables a week. And I was like counting how many plants I was eating a week. And sometimes I really get like crazy about this stuff. And always, 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 I go back to like, what are the basics? It's like drink water, 8 hours of sleep, eat your vegetables, eat whole foods, move your body. Like it doesn't need to be so complicated. And I feel like I have friends who come to me and say the same thing, like, I want this, this, and this. And I'm like, are you sleeping? Are you drinking your water? Like, are you just like, are you checking the basics? Okay, if not, let's do those things before you try to like complicate it too much. And I think I always come back to that. It's like, eat healthy, like don't eat out too much, get your sleep, move your body. It doesn't need to be going on a 10K run every day. It doesn't need to be going to the gym and weightlifting like crazy every day. It can just be going for a walk. Like if you can, go to bed at night and be like, I tried my best by doing all of those things today, then I think you should be happy.
Totally, totally. I completely agree. And then you have the whole kind of nutrition, how do you say, industry that sells you supplements, and people, they just jump on that stuff like crazy. And then I'm also asking myself, are you drinking enough water? Are you looking out for just healthy stuff that you eat? People, I think we all want some quick answer or a quick solution to the things that bother us. And if then someone says, take this supplement, it's going to solve all your problems, we jump on it and we spend hundreds of dollars on stuff that we really don't need. But if I always think, if you look at it as a pyramid, as you say, do you sleep enough? Do you drink enough water? If you then still want to optimize, check your calories, check your macros, and only at the very top, at the very last, come all the supplements if you really want to take it to a very, very specific nitty-gritty pro level or something. But you don't really need supplements. I don't know.
I don't think so either. I have a lot of people ask me about AG1 because I took it. I got like the intro pack and I took it for a few months and I didn't feel like a major difference. But it's always on these podcasts. It's always like AG1, try AG1. All the big fitness influencers are always like talking about it. And I think if you're someone who really struggles to get vegetables in or like, struggles to have a really healthy diet, maybe you're traveling a lot, maybe you travel for work, whatever it is, then I think that's like fair. You're like, I am not getting my veggies in. I'm going to take AG1. But if you're someone who's like not in one of these situations and you're cooking at home or you're eating pretty healthy, like, why do you need this kind of expensive supplement? Or even like, I feel like people are taking so many different things and I'm like, go get a blood test. Like, I think that's smart. Go get a blood test, see what you're actually deficient in and take something specifically for that. But don't just like throw a bunch of vitamins at the wall and see what sticks. Like, that's not I don't think that's a good way to go about things. But I think people really overcomplicate it and try to take so many things. And I'm like, just like go back to basics, see what works for you, then try to get specific.
Exactly. Yeah. I actually saw an interesting post on Instagram regarding a study regarding AG1 the other day. And apparently it has little bit of an influence into your gut health, the microbiome. It apparently improves it a little bit. However, that study was funded by AG1, so it's a little bit like you never know. And I think it wasn't significant enough for us to say is so great. But I always think if you feel good taking it, maybe it's also for the head, just take it. But yeah, I still want to ask you, do you take any supplements?
I feel like sometimes I want to be taking fish oil. This is one thing I know is really good for like your hair, your nails, your skin. And I have fish oil capsules, but I forget sometimes to take them. But I think overall, I have like a pretty good diet in terms of like, I do eat a lot of fruits and vegetables. Like, I drink a lot of water. I don't feel like I had a blood test a while back. Nothing came up that I was like needing to supplement. I know a lot of people say, oh, it's good to take magnesium, for example, but I'm like, I sleep well, I go to the bathroom well, like I don't really need help with these things. Maybe one day if I do, I can take that. But I don't really have any like symptoms that I'm like, okay, I feel really motivated to now take a supplement for this.
Yeah.
One thing I've also seen really quickly going back is like AG1 is kind of the supplement to help you with your gut health or like to get all your vitamins and nutrients in. I've also seen a lot of people take Element or promote Element. Do you know what I'm talking about? These like electrolyte packs.
Mm-hmm.
And tried these. They're delicious. They're so good. And I've gotten them when I'm back in the US, but they don't have them in Europe right now. And I was really like, I really want that, whatever. And I just like sat down with myself and I'm like, this is salted water. Like, this is the benefit that you're looking for is salted water to get you hydrated. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to put some salt in my water. Like, that's all I really need to do. And it's like, could I go buy Element for however much it is? It's kind of expensive. They put salt in my water and call it a day. And of course, it's not as fun and sexy and cool. But I'm like, am I in this like health and wellness fitness space to be cute and sexy and cool? No, it's like I'm there to take care of my body. And I think a lot of the times you need to have that like reality check with yourself.
Yeah, electrolytes is apparently also a trend. I read that the other day that people just take electrolytes for the funniest reasons. I must say, I also take electrolytes because when I work out, I love to drink water with electrolytes because I did a field study where I was doing it 3 months with electrolytes and 3 months without, and saw how I felt during my workout. And I feel maybe it's just the taste of water. I don't know, but my water tastes like something, and I feel like I can just push way harder if I drink electrolytes. So guilty of taking electrolytes.
It's like electrolytes get you more hydrated, and when you're hydrated, you can push much more. So if that's like taking electrolytes or even like just salting your water, you will see an improvement in your performance. So I definitely think that's a thing. Or like even supplementing with like caffeine. People take like pre-workout, and I like love a good pre-workout. But sometimes I'm like, I don't even know what this powder is. It's like some chemical thing that tastes like green apple. And I'm not a saint. So sometimes I'm taking that. But other times I'm like, I can just drink some coffee, So the point I want to make is not that you shouldn't buy AG1 or Element or, take this like delicious pre-workout. It's just that I think if you're waiting on those kinds of things to be healthy, this is an excuse. And I don't think health and being healthy and optimizing your performance needs to be so complicated or expensive. It's like there are very simple ways to get to the goal of what you want to do, even if you don't have all of the fancy, cool, trendy stuff.
Absolutely agree. Totally agree. Shanzi, traveling back a little bit. I think it was post high school. When you started did you start your first job right after high school, or did you have a little bit of break in between?
No, after university. So right after high school, I went to college for 4 years, and then I had my first job like 2 months after I graduated.
Got it. Okay, that's where I want to be actually. The moment when you started your first job, you said you earned your first salary, and with that, you immediately signed up to a bougie luxury gym. I was first of all curious, which gym did you decide to sign up for? And did you check it out beforehand, or did you just sign up?
Equinox, which is a massive chain in the US, which is like expensive for your first job, I would say. Just graduating, I wasn't making like a crazy salary, but I was like, I don't even care. This is like the thing I need to have. I will budget everything else, but I am going to my fancy gym. And it was like a super trendy thing. I like tried it when I was in New York, and they had one in Boston. So I was like, I'm going for it. The best thing about this gym is that they have these like towels, these small little towels that are soaked in eucalyptus water, and then they're put into the fridge. So after you work out, you can like grab one and it's just like the nicest little spa moment you
Sign
can have
me up.
today.
Yes.
I loved this. I signed up for like a super expensive gym because I knew that if I like how my brain works, I was like, if I pay for this, I'm gonna go. Because it was so expensive that I was like, I know that if I spend money on this thing, that I'm definitely gonna go every day and like make it a priority. And it really motivated me to make it part of my daily routine.
What is expensive? Because I mean, I know how much gyms can cost in Germany and Berlin, also the luxury ones, but the US I think is a very different ballgame.
It was like 350 a month. I don't know if that's considered expensive.
Oh my God.
It was expensive for me. Like
Yeah.
I felt like it was really expensive as like, a 21-year-old. I
Yeah.
was like, I don't care. I'm spending this money. But it motivated me because I was going to classes. I would every day go to the gym. I like really made good use out of that membership. And so it's also where I started to get more comfortable like lifting weights and stuff. Like I didn't know anything. Like before that point, I would walk into a gym and I would just go on the treadmill. Like I didn't know how to do weights. I didn't know how to do anything. So it was my first foray into like going to classes that used weights and just like understanding how different machines worked. That being said, I wasn't like doing it ever by myself. I was always going to a class and like, kind of following people around me.
What does that mean? Like you went to a gym and to a like did they have these rooms where you had classes or a class? Ah, okay. So not a class where they showed you how to use the machines.
No, it would be like a fitness class like in the gym in one of their rooms, and then there would be like the instructor in the front showing you how to do all the stuff and kind of like coordinating the whole all the different stations of weights and stuff. So I would just like it was nice to be able to like watch other people do it and then like do it behind them or something. But I was like really self-conscious at the gym because I didn't know how to do anything.
Yeah. I think that's always the toughest part for people when they go to the gym. Like, I don't know how to use all those machines, but yeah, you
Yeah.
can always ask people and just try it out. I always think that's the most important part, just to try it out, see how it feels with a super lightweight. And if you really don't know, there's always someone at the gym that can show you a machine. Yeah.
Actually, today this happened to me. I was at the gym. I was with a friend, and there were two guys next to us trying to figure out this machine. And I've never used this machine. So we're all like huddled around this machine, being like, how does this work? We're like moving weights around, like pulling different things. And finally, someone else like walks over and they show us how to use it. But it's like less embarrassing than you think it is. It's just like, I don't even remember what the person looks like. Like, I don't know their name or anything. It's just like, we're all at the gym to work out and just, get more fit. It's not such a big deal to ask these questions. There's actually a quote I know, and it's like, the bodybuilder is never going to make fun of the fat person for being at the gym, or the
Yeah.
millionaire is never going to make fun of the kid trying to like start a business out of his garage. It's like the people who have done the thing you're trying to do are never going to laugh at you for getting started. And I feel like, especially at the gym, there are these people who look super fit and whatever. And I'm like, they all started where we are. So I actually feel like it's quite a nice place to like be able to ask questions and like not be afraid to, ask someone how a machine works because like chances are they've also been there at some point. So I've never seen someone have like a bad experience at the gym at all.
Yeah. And who's gonna be like who feels weird about being asked for advice, if you know something. Yeah, so it's always flattering, I think.
Yeah, that's
What
true.
can what, I'm curious now, what machine was it and what kind of muscle part did it did you
I don't
figure
know what
out?
it's called, but it's something where you're seated and it's like a calf raise. Like you almost like pad and then you like put your feet and then you just like lift your knees up. But like we couldn't figure out how to like get it started. Like the starting position to just like unhook the machine. Like, how does this work? I'm not kidding you. There were four of us huddled around this machine, like trying to help this guy because he was stuck. And then finally, someone was like seeing us struggling and came over and was like, "You just gotta pull this little thing right here."
It was too easy. It was too easy.
But it's like I feel like since when I first started going to the gym, one of my favorite things was going with my partner because he's been going to the gym a lot, and I would always just like follow him around. Like I didn't know the concept of like upper body day, like push pull leg day. Like I had no clue. I think for like a long time, he probably hated this. But we would go to the gym and I would just be like, "What are we doing today?" And he would show me everything. Like, okay, cool. Like, show me how to do this. Show me how to do this. And that's like honestly how I learned a lot of things because I think going with someone is so helpful. One of my girlfriends, she taught me how to like deadlift and hip thrust and all of this stuff. It took one day. Like, she just came to the gym with me one day, showed me everything. And to this day, I like still follow all of her advice. When I meet girlfriends who are like, I want to start going to the gym, I just like bring them with me and I like pass it down almost. I'm like, I learned this from some other girl. I'm going to teach you now. And it just really takes like, one day for someone to show you how to do something for you to like start building your routine.
I love that. Yeah, it doesn't take much. That is right. And if in doubt, always ask questions, always tag along with someone, and then you will learn so, so much. I mean, nowadays there are also so many social media channels where people explain machines in depth. So that's how I sometimes also learned some new machines when I found something like that calf raise that you found. I just took a picture and I found, oh, okay, that's what it is. And then I tried to look for someone on the internet that did it. And then you realize, oh, this is how it works. Cool.
Yeah.
And then you just try it out and that's how you go. But
Totally.
yeah.
Like on Instagram, there are so many things, but I also always have my eye on someone. Like if I'm like, I don't know what that machine is, like the next time I see someone on that machine, I'm like looking out of the corner of my eye to see what are they doing? How are they doing it? So I feel like everyone's kind of doing that though. Everyone
Yeah.
starts there.
But I think you also used an app back then, right? When you joined the gym, you used an app, and this is how you like learned how to use machines, or what kind of app was
Yeah.
that?
It was, well, as I mentioned, like when I first started going to the gym, I was like following people, or my friend, she showed me some exercises, and I was like only doing those three exercises because it's all I knew how to do. So I got this app by, I think her name was like Natasha Ocean or something. She's like some fitness influencer out there. And she had a 12-week plan where she like tells you Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, like these are the exercises you're gonna do, a video of the exercise, like you check it off in the app. And this was super helpful because it helped me structure my workouts. Like instead of just going to the gym and doing the same like 3, 4 exercises every day, I was like learning new workouts and also like how to structure your workouts, like a push day, a pull day, lower body, upper body, cardio, like what kinds of different things can I do? Because while I think going on social media is really good to help you like learn things, it's really time consuming to
Yeah.
like go to Instagram or that's what I do. Go to Instagram. Okay, find the reel of some girl, like write down the thing or remember it, watch it like a few times to see her form. Like this takes a long time. So I think getting the app and just having everything right there in front of you, going to the gym, not having to think, what am I doing today? Just being like, today's Tuesday, I'm doing this. It's super helpful and it's 12 weeks. So it took a long time. I tried a lot of different exercises in those 12 weeks. And then after that program was done, I like kind of like picked all the things I like doing. And I was like, okay, these are the things, this is like my leg day that I'm going to do, or this is my like arm day. Like these are all the exercises I know. So I think for someone starting out at the gym, doing something like that is so helpful because it exposes you to like exercises you don't know exist. And it gives you like the variety to be like, I love doing that. I hate doing that. And then you can like kind of like build your own plan based on what you like.
Do you remember how much you paid for that app?
This was like 3 years ago, so I'm not sure, but it was less than 100 euros.
Okay,
Like it
per
was,
month or total
no,
price?
for like the 12-week program. So
Nice.
it was really good.
Yeah, yeah. Because I mean, the aspect of time consumption, I think, is a very valid one, right? It's helpful if you get a plan and you can just stick to it, and that's how you kind of figure out what do I like. Because in the end, it also has to be fun. It's not only the luxury gyms and the eucalyptus towels that keep you motivated, but it's also the exercises. Like, do I like to do them and stuff? Like, I personally love hip thrust. I love RDLs, but there are other leg exercises that I really really hate, like kickbacks. I don't really like them, right? Yeah, you see, you love them apparently.
What about Bulgarian split squats? I refuse to do a Bulgarian split squat.
I like them too. I don't have them in my plan right now, but I do like them. Yes, because it burns a lot. Some exercises they really, really burn. And I'm like, I don't really feel that my muscles are getting tired, but they're burning like fire. And that for me is just, okay, I'm gonna work through the pain right now and then I just feel pain for 30 seconds and that kind of I like that, right? And Bulgarian split squats is definitely one of those exercises that give me that. Anyway, what I wanted to say is the time consumption part and how valuable it can be to invest money into an app like that to get the structure and to help you get to a point where you can decide things on your own. I also think it might be an app, it might be a coach, like someone that gives you a personalized plan or stuff, but investing money into this is so, so valuable.
Yeah, if you have the additional income to do so, I think like investing in your health or your like fitness journey is only something that's going to help you. If you're truly motivated, put your money where your mouth is to get a plan like this. I know my partner, he works out with a coach and he says like it pushes him, like he gets to push doubly as hard because he has someone there like cheering for him and pushing him and saying, can you do a little bit more? Maybe a little bit more weight. Whereas if you're by yourself, maybe you're not doing all of those things, or maybe there's an exercise you haven't even thought of. So I think definitely having like a plan or a coach, as you mentioned, is really helpful.
And every fitness studio kind of has that. I remember the studio that I'm going to, you don't have to get a coach. You can also tell them, hey, can you build a fitness plan for me? You pay, I don't know, $80 or something, or €100 or something. And they build a workout plan for you. Then you do it for, I don't know how long, and then you can redo it or something. You don't necessarily have to get a coach, but you can have someone professional build that stuff for you. So
Yeah, I think that's great. I think also the other thing is sometimes I've like worked out with friends and I feel like your friends are never going to be like, Shans, you could do this more, or maybe you should work on that. Like your friends are just like, they love you and they're so supportive. And I think the benefit of having a coach or someone external do this for you is that they have like no reason to lie to you, or they're going to tell you the truth and be honest and be like, you need to do X, Y, and Z if this is like your goal. If it's your goal to be faster, you need to do this. If it's your goal to build your glutes, you need to do this. Like they're not going to sugarcoat anything. And I feel like sometimes having that like unbiased third party is really nice.
agreed. I totally agreed. Someone with an objective point of view. What's your gym split these days?
Okay, so I go to the gym maybe like 3 or 4 times a week. And I would say it's usually I have a glutes day, not a leg day, just glutes. Because 2 or 3 years ago, I had a pancake butt. Or what I would say is like a pancake. Like I had no butt. I didn't even
Oh,
know having glutes was a thing. Like I was just running and like doing rowing. Like I just had no muscles. And
okay, but hold on, Shanzi. Pancake butt. I'm hearing this for the very first time. I'm 32 years old. I never heard this. And I'm all about the bouteille. But where does that come from?
it's from, but there's like a peach butt, like peachy.
Yeah.
And then you're the opposite, which is a pancake. And there's just flat. There's just like no muscle there. I had no glute muscle. I'm not saying I have anything peachy now, but it's like it takes me a long time to build muscle in my lower body. Whereas on my upper body, I've never trained upper body before. So when I train arms, I'm like huge. Like if I do bicep curls, I have massive biceps because I build muscle there really easily because I have like beginner gains in my
Nice.
body. Whereas in my lower body, I've always been running. I've always been kind of like doing this stuff. So I don't build muscle there quite as fast. So when I'm at the gym, I do 2 glute days, but I have so many glute exercises that I split them out into 2 different days. So that's why it's two. And then I do one upper body day because my upper body, as I mentioned, it's like it grows super fast. So I try to only do it like one day. And then another day at the gym is like cardio and abs. So I'll do like an hour on the Stairmaster. Or Peter Attia, he has this recommendation to do a running workout, which is 4 minutes sprinting or like as fast as you can, 4 minutes recovery times four. So I'll like go to the gym and do that on the treadmill. And then I'll do some like core exercises. Or even on that day, I'll just be like, what am I in the mood for? Let me do something fun. So I think also like when I stick to a plan too much, it becomes not fun. So I always have this kind of like one kind of spontaneous bonus day where I'm like, get some cardio in, do some abs, and whatever you feel like doing that day.
Nice. You see, I've never heard about that, like a specific glute day. And that's only confirmation to me how different everyone is, how differently everyone builds muscle. Yet still, just from working out a little bit, your body won't be super, super bulky, right? It's hard, hard work. And some people have it easy to build a biceps. I don't. I certainly don't. You do. For me, I think is a little more balanced throughout the entire body. But I always appreciate those stories and hearing how different everybody is, and how important it is to find your way of working out, your, I don't know, gym split or whatever you work on.
Yeah.
So
I have friends who upper body day is their favorite gym day. Like they love going and doing bicep curl, shoulder press, back stuff, like chest press. I think that they love that. And I also feel like I like upper body day, but I just noticed when I was doing it more that I was like a bit too bulky up top than what I wanted to be. So it just again depends on your like aesthetic goals or your fitness goals, how you break that up.
Yeah, I used to hate arm day as well. Now I love my pole day. It's just my favorite day. You brought up the aesthetics parts of it. And I remember you saying that your approach to how you work out has very much shifted from merely doing it for the aesthetics towards something else. What happened there, and what's your main goal these days when you work out?
Well, I think it would be lying. Like it would be false to say I don't work out for aesthetic reasons. Like part of it for sure is that like I feel great, but I also like look great. Like I'm proud of like the body that I'm in. And I'm in my 20s. I still want to like look good. But I think the older I get and the more information I'm getting, I just realize that if I'm not working out right now and I'm not trying to build that muscle and take care of myself, like it's not going to get easier. It's only going to get harder and harder. So I feel like in my 20s, what I really want to do is like max it out as much as possible, like get my cardio in, like how fast can I run? How long can I do? How much can I lift? And just like really see at like my peak fitness kind of, or like in my youth, if we're like now living to 100 or beyond, like what can I really do? Because I want to, be able to run around with my kids or I want to play with my grandkids. And I have parents who didn't prioritize fitness and I see how it affects them and that, you know, it takes them a lot of effort to like get up out of bed or get up out of a chair. Or my dad, he slipped and fell on black ice and he broke his hip and he was in the hospital from this. And it's like, yeah, my parents never prioritized fitness or lifting weights or, going on a walk would make them winded. And I don't want to be like that. And so I think a lot of it now is not only for the aesthetics, but I'm also looking into the future of how can I like set myself up for success? I'm not always going to have time to go to the gym for an hour every day and spend 3 hours at the gym on the weekend and take so much time. Right now, I'm in a very like self-centered and selfish phase of my life where I can do all of these things. So I want to max out kind of that potential while I'm young and get those like dividends paid out in the future. Because it's like, for sure, it's a little bit aesthetics, but it's also, I want to be able to lift things. Actually realized recently when like a few years ago, I would struggle to put my carry-on luggage in the overhead bin. Like I would always ask someone to do it for me. I couldn't do it. And it would always be more than 10 kg. Like, let's be real, I always stuff my suitcases. But now, even if I have a super heavy carry-on, I'm always able to put it up by myself. And just small wins like that, like I couldn't have done that a few years ago. Like I'm getting stronger. I think that's really like something that keeps me going. And personally, like my personality wise, I am very competitive. I love a challenge. Like I have no problem to admit that. I love a challenge. So when I set a goal, I'm like so excited to accomplish it. So for example, running marathons, it was never an aesthetics goal. It wasn't like, oh, I'm going to run marathons to be skinny, but it was like, I feel badass saying I ran a marathon. Like I feel cool. Or just doing things like this. My next challenge is that I really want to be able to do a pull up because I feel like for women, this is really, really hard. And
Yeah.
I'm like, it feels so cool if I could do a pull up. Just stuff like this are like little mini challenges. I feel like this also really keeps me going more than just aesthetics and whatnot because being fit and being in shape is one thing, but it's not going to get you through life. But being able to like keep commitments to yourself or like follow through on a challenge, this is like building confidence. I think that really lasts.
The pull-up challenge. Fingers crossed for that. I'm pretty sure. Do you have a like goal or deadline for this until when
No,
you?
I've had like I even one time made a bet with a friend that I was like, oh, I'm gonna be able to pull up by the end of the year, or I'll like buy you a super fancy dinner. Like I couldn't do it. Like I'm like practicing scapula pull-ups. Like it is so hard for me. So
Yeah.
I don't have a deadline, but I really should find some sort of like plan. I try to follow like YouTube plans where you like do small progressions or use the band but I'm not consistent with it. I'm sure if I was consistent, I would be able to do it, but I wanna like bang two or three out.
Keep me posted.
Can you do them?
I had the same challenge for myself and I just trained really hard and I did everything. And then I mean, I didn't even do pull-ups really, but at some point I was like, I was nervous and I thought maybe today's the day where I just try. And I did 3 or 4, I think. I did 4 bloody pull-ups and I was like, how did that?
What?
And then instead of taking it to the next level, I got scared and I haven't done a single pull-up ever since. I just
Good.
stopped doing.
Now you can see that you did 4 in a row and you're like, yeah, I did it once. I did it. I'll
Yeah.
go.
Yeah, but I was surprised. That was the one thing fitness related that where I was so surprised of what I did there. And it was very unexpected. However, that made me think there's this, you probably listened to that podcast because I know you also listen to the Huberman Lab podcast. There
Yeah.
was one with, I unfortunately forgot the name of the guest, but they were talking about a lot of fitness markers and tests that you can do on yourself. And I think pull-ups were one of them.
Yeah.
And hanging,
Mhm.
I can barely hang for 10 seconds. I am guilty of that. It's very bad, but my grip strength is super, super bad. But there were so many exercises where I'm like, oh, that's nice. So I think that could maybe be a fun challenge for you too. I can send you that episode and
Yeah.
I will also put it in the show notes for anyone interested. But that one I really liked.
Yeah, I think stuff like this is super interesting. Some of the other markers are like farmer's carry. That's one of them. How fast you can run a mile or like a kilometer is one of them. Like, can you do it under a certain amount of time? Push-ups is another one, I think.
Yep.
And
Yeah.
then, yeah, a pull-up is something too. So
Yeah,
I would,
and leg extensions, which I found interesting. You should be able to do, I forgot the amount, but you should be able to do maybe 10 or 12 repetitions with your own body weight when you do leg extensions. So I weigh like 75 kilograms. If I do leg extensions, I have to be able to do 10, 15, I don't know how many repetitions with 75 kilograms, which is hard.
this actually brings me, like, that reminds me of a topic, which is I think a lot of people nowadays do train for aesthetics. Like, they train, like, I'm training for my butt, or I'm training for my upper body, or my back, whatever. But then when you say stuff like this, I'm like, this is training to be like an athlete because
Yeah.
it's not just like your posterior chain or how you want your body shape to be. It's like those are all very complete exercises, if you know what I mean. Like, those are survival exercises or something where I'm like, this person doing leg press is not trying to like grow her butt or something. It's really like I should be able to do this. This is like a marker of my health. And
Exactly.
sometimes I think that's like where I would like to go. Like, I'm
Yeah.
like hoping my fitness maturity gets to that level. I don't think I'm there yet because I think part of me is still focused a bit on the aesthetics, but I'm like, one day I just want to be like able to bang out push-ups, pull-ups, farmer carry, like leg press. Like, that sounds so cool to me.
Yeah, it does. And I never want to hang off a cliff because I would die after 5 seconds. I would fall right off.
I think it's a grip strength because I feel like I can hold, but not for as long as it tells you that you need to hold. Like, women are supposed to be able to do how long? 1 minute or 2 minutes?
I think, if I'm not mistaken, it was 30 seconds. I'm not sure, but I think men a minute or something. Yeah,
30 seconds?
or
Okay, you
40
need
or something, but it was less than a minute, I'm pretty sure. But yeah,
to look it up.
yeah,
Interesting. But I
tried
do
it.
think that with grip strength is really important, and I definitely need to work on that.
Yeah. Shanzi, going back though, we were talking about the gym. You still go to the gym. You have a workout split where very focused on glutes, but you are also very big doing something else.
Yes, I also teach Pilates.
How long
Yeah.
have you been doing Pilates for, and when did you become an instructor?
I've been doing Pilates for a while now. I would say I started back in 2018. I found a woman online. She's like a fitness influencer. She has a platform. So I was doing it mainly at home to start with. Like, I would go to the super fancy gym that I was a part of. And then when I would go home, or if I couldn't make it to the gym that day, I would use her fitness platform and kind of like do at home 20-minute workouts and stuff like this. And she was the one who introduced me to like Pilates. I like didn't know what Pilates was. But I don't know if you've ever been to like a reformer class or Pilates class or something. They're like
Yeah.
kind of pricey.
Yes.
They're expensive. So it
Yeah.
wasn't something I was like doing regularly, like going to a class and dropping, I don't know, 30 or 40 bucks on. So I was mainly doing it at home or on YouTube on the mat. And I always just felt like it was a little bit more quick or fast than yoga. Because I feel like when I go to yoga, in my head, I'm not relaxed. I'm just thinking, when is this over? Has it been 45 minutes? Like, in this class, I like 15 minutes to go. Like, I am not relaxed. I do not enjoy yoga. So Pilates is a little bit like faster. So it's like when I go to a workout class, part of the benefit is not only working out, it's that like I'm not thinking. Like, it's like my brain is off. I'm just like hearing what the person is telling me and doing it. And it's so nice, like after work or before work to be like, my brain is off. I'm not thinking anything. And in yoga, it's too slow paced. So I start thinking. And in Pilates, it's a little bit faster. So it's like I get that benefit of not having to think again. And so I started doing this like mat Pilates with this app online. And I really liked it because I just felt relaxed, but I also felt like stretched and I really improved my posture. It's like I would like go hang out with people and they'd be like, your posture is great. Like, what are you doing? And I'm like, Pilates. And I really think that's what happened because it works all of these like small muscles. Because when you're at the gym and you're doing your squats and your deadlifts, you're working like big muscle groups. But when you do Pilates, you're getting all those like in between muscles that we don't think to work. And it just like, I feel like it's such a nice full body like complement to weightlifting. And I also feel like when I'm doing my Pilates, I can go deeper in my squat. I can have better form at the gym doing my cable lat pull downs, like all those things. I'm like, it helps complement all the other stuff I'm doing so much that I just really like it. And then I decided to be a instructor last year. I did a training for like 2-3 months where we did like the anatomy, kind of like the textbook stuff where you learn all the different muscle groups and how they partner together. And then I did the actual training to become an instructor right after that. And it took like 3-4 months in Berlin.
Nice. I think I should add some Pilates to my schedule for mobility and stuff.
I think it's really good, and it's like I think people always say mobility is really important, and they do like calisthenics and stuff. But I think Pilates also is just like a nice me time.
It
Like
it definitely is.
it's not so intense that you're like so dying and sore the next day. Like you can immediately go out and have coffee with a friend or something. But it's just like there's something special about it that you're not like exerting yourself so much that you're exhausted right after, but you still feel like you got a really good workout in.
Are you also teaching the reformer classes?
No, I would love to be reformer certified one day, but I'm not right now. But I actually think there's a big, so Pilates, people get confused because Pilates was created by this guy, Joseph Pilates. He's a German guy. And he created it as like a physical therapy almost because he was injured and he created these exercises. And there's only like 36 or something exercises that are considered Pilates. Because I see on Instagram and stuff, people saying, Pilates, working out. Like, and I'm like, who said this is Pilates? Like, this is a random move that you're doing. This is not Pilates. So I feel like sometimes people are talking about Pilates, or I know in Berlin, there are these mega former classes. So like Shape C and Framework and all of this. And people will go and say, oh, I went to Pilates. I'm like, no, that's something else. That's not Pilates.
Oh,
So I
okay.
feel like people get a bit confused about what exactly is Pilates. But the reformer exercises, I just went on a tangent. I think the reformer is really great because it's using the machine to add resistance, to like be able to stretch your muscles in a way that you wouldn't necessarily be able to on the mat. But I think when you have really good form and you have an instructor that can give you the proper form, doing it with your body weight on the mat is just as, or if not even more effective than using the machine. Because I think a lot of people I've heard say, oh, it's not reformer, so it's not as good, or like the reformer is better, or, I need to spend the 40 euros to go to a reformer class. And I completely disagree. I think if you have a really good Pilates instructor on the mat, you can get the same benefits.
So, Shanzi, you are based out of Barcelona.
I'm in Barcelona.
So, where could people join your classes?
I'm in Barcelona. I teach at a studio called Hot Core. It's a heated Pilates style class. So it's not traditional Pilates, but we take inspiration for all of our moves and we teach to the beat of the music. So if you've ever been to a spin class, sometimes they're like, we ride to the beat of the music. In my Pilates class, we move to the beat of the music. So it's heated to 34 degrees. So you will look like you took a shower after. But I think it's a lot of fun. We play upbeat music. You get your endorphins up. You move. It's a full body workout. If you're ever in Barcelona and you want to try my class, you can come to Hot Core.
Absolutely. I will do that. If ever I travel to Barcelona in the next months, I'll hit you up and join your classes because my husband and I, we also love Pilates. We're just not doing it so much, but we had a time where we went to reformer classes all the time. And I think I joined mat classes once or twice.
Okay.
Anyway, but I've also preferred Pilates over yoga.
Okay. What did you think of like the reformer classes that you were doing?
I was shivering all the time, like, I was like, oh my God, this is hard.
It's a different shakes. Like sometimes when I'm weightlifting, I also am like shaking a bit, like on your final reps.
Yeah.
But it's a different shake.
Yeah.
it's a completely different shape because it's like those tiny muscles that you're like, I didn't even know that muscle existed.
Exactly, exactly. And the funny thing is, I never sweat doing Pilates. It's just so weird.
Yeah, I'm not really sweaty either, but
No?
it's like I am sore in weird places the next day. So I
Yeah,
know I
yeah,
worked out, but I think it's just like such a nice low impact exercise because some days I don't want to go out for a run and I don't want to lift heavy things at the gym. And those are my days where I'm like listening to my body and I'm like, I'm going to do a mat Pilates workout today.
yeah, yeah.
Um, yeah,
That's
I
so
think it's
cool.
always nice to have an arsenal of different things that you can be doing.
Yeah. So you have you go to the gym, you have Pilates, but you still also run, right?
Like I would say like once a week or something. I try to do like a run outside, especially in Barcelona. It's so nice outside. It's so pleasant to run along the beach. So I think that's been my motivation to go running. But I'll also try to do like once a week a cardio session where it's like that 4x4 workout I mentioned, just so I can like, work on my VO2 max and just make sure that I'm like keeping up with my cardio and not just only doing weights.
Yeah, yeah. I definitely felt that once when I was doing weights for a while and I did very low intensity cardio. Ever since I stepped on the Stairmaster again, I like really sweat and I have to take deep breaths again. And in the beginning, I felt like I can't even take deep breaths anymore. It was so weird. But now when I get on the Stairmaster, I feel like my lungs are like triple the size. It was so weird because I had like for a long time, I was doing HIIT workouts, going to Beat 81 here in Berlin all the time, like almost every single day, where I was like almost forcing myself and spinning and stuff. Yeah. But now that I only lift weights, I feel like my cardiovascular activity has just
Yeah,
immensely.
I also feel that way, but I always tell myself like I hate going back to square zero, like
Yeah.
square one or something. So I try to keep up with my cardio so that I never have to just like completely start over again. So
Yeah.
sometimes what I'll do is I'll save like the last 10 minutes of my workout and like go on the Stairmaster or
Yeah.
like go walk on incline even on the treadmill. Like just do something that'll get me like sweaty and my heart rate up. But I do love the Stairmaster. Like I know some people hate it, but I love it.
I love it too. I love it too. I've never stayed long on it, but I'm like
I
20, 30 minutes is cool.
That's a while though.
In
20, 30 minutes is good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I saw what is your like favorite time so it doesn't get boring for you on a Stairmaster?
I like play mind games with myself and I'm like, only stay on 10 minutes. And then at 10 minutes, I'm like 15. And then I'll watch a YouTube video and I'm like, I need to finish the YouTube video. And then it's like 30 minutes. And then I'm like, okay, now I'm good. So I always go on it telling myself that I'm going to
Yeah.
be on for 10. But then like, as I get on it, I'm like a little bit more. But I try to do like between 20 and 30 minutes is a good amount for me.
Yeah, I think that's good. It gives you a good sweat for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you mentioned that in Pilates you don't sweat. I'm like not a sweaty person either. Like even I remember I ran at the marathon and I like wasn't sweating. Like I like finished my marathon and like had my hair blown out still and like looked great. I do not sweat, but this is the reason why I love my Pilates class because it's heated and I
Yeah.
love the Stairmaster because I am dripping. And one of my favorite feelings, I don't know if this is gross, but I love like sweating from like my hairline. Like when my face is sweating, I'm like, I am the most badass person here. Like I am better than everyone. This is the feeling I have on the Stairmaster. And it's just like, it's such a challenge and you feel so good about yourself.
Yeah.
But it's like not a lot of things make me sweat. So when I find something where I'm dripping, I love it.
Face on your sweat. I personally hate it, but yes, it is definitely a like a characteristic of hard work.
Yeah. Feels
Yeah.
good.
Shanzi, you mentioned it like a couple of times already, and it's also been one of your passion topics. And I found I think your story behind it very, very interesting when it
Yeah.
comes to social media and your own body image. You
Mm.
said that I mean, we all grew up with social media, and when you looked at social media, you never saw anyone that looked like you. How can you explain what social media is for you, how social media was, like how you experienced it and how it affected you?
This is like a topic really close to my heart because in one way, okay, let me start from the beginning. Growing up, I grew up in a very like white town. Like I grew up in the most densely populated Irish town outside of Ireland. So like no one looked like me. And I think some people always tell me that's so great because you're unique. But I think when you're of the like going through puberty and like your teenage years, like you don't want to be unique. You want to be like everyone else and to fit in and be normal. And I always felt like I'm the odd one out, or like I don't look like everyone else, or like the pretty popular girls, they all look like this. And it's like, how could I ever be pretty and popular? Because I'm not that. And it was like always kind of like a self-limiting belief because I now genuinely believe like no one was thinking about this except me. Like no one was actually having those thoughts except for me. And it was just very much in my head. But I grew up with Instagram and Facebook and TikTok. Well, TikTok is new. But when I go on these apps, I don't really see a lot of like South Asian looking girls. And I think growing up, this like really affected me. I was like always thinking about my skin color, but like no one else is thinking about it. And I always kind of had it as like a chip on my shoulder of like, I'm like brown, like no one could find me as beautiful as like someone who's like white and has blonde hair and blue eyes. But it was just like, I don't know, I couldn't tell you where I had this belief from, but it was really like so set in stone for me. And I think it's only kind of recently in the past like few years that I've really gotten over this. But I would say one of the contributing factors was definitely social media, in that like when I would see beautiful women or, celebrities that people thought were really beautiful, it was never someone who looked like me. It was always someone that looks like, I don't know, like Angelina Jolie or Sydney Sweeney, like one of these girls who are totally beautiful, but it was never someone that looked like me. And I always took that like a bit personally. Like I was like the underdog. And especially when it came to like fitness, I would see people who were super fit, but we talked about this a bit earlier. I could work out 7 days a week with a personal trainer and eat a perfect diet. I still wouldn't look like those people because my body type is different. And the best version of my body, if I was working out like that and eating completely clean, the like ideal heavenly whatever version of me is my perfect, but it's not the same perfect as someone who has different genetics. And I think a lot on social media you see these people who have like six packs and are 5 inches taller than me, and I would compare myself to those people, not really understanding that there's a lot of things at play. For sure, a lot of it is diet and a lot of it is working out, and I don't have a perfect diet or workout split, but I would be comparing myself to these people who didn't look like me, had these bodies that were kind of unattainable, and it had an impact on like how I saw myself. And I think now with social media, two things. One is that there are more people who look like me on social media who are more accessible, which always like I never really thought about the idea of representation. And I always thought that was a very like woke idea. Like we need representation of everyone. And I think only recently I was like, oh, it's so nice to see this girl who's like Instagram famous and everyone thinks she's so beautiful and she looks like me. Or like that's kind of a nice feeling. Or I don't know, popular South Asian actresses where I'm like, you're an actress. It's your job to look good and to work out and to eat healthy. And you probably have a personal trainer and like that's what you look like. And I'm like, that's like similar to like what I could look like. Instead of comparing myself to someone who has like Scandinavian heritage and like amazing like 6 foot tall genetics, like this is what I was comparing myself to. And sometimes I have to be like, I look the way I look. I am the way I am. This is the body I have in this life. And like, how am I going to make the best out of that? Because before I was very much like, this is unfair. And now I think maybe it's a bit like just maturing and growing up. I'm like, I'm the only one who has to like live in this body so I can make it an amazing experience and try to like make the most out of it. Or I can, be kind of like a victim every day and just like complain about it. So I think social media, it's like, it's so tough because unless you have that really healthy mindset, it can be such like a downer and such a spiral towards negativity. And I think you really have to be in this like good, healthy mind space to be able to like go on social media and not be affected.
I wonder what's better if you have someone on social media. I mean, I can speak for myself. Like, I can identify myself with a lot of these people that you have been talking about, right? Tall white women. I'm a tall white woman. I don't know what's worse or better if you have so many people to compare yourself with, because the comparison part can also become very toxic. Or if you have nobody to compare yourself with, and if you find yourself out there alone in the desert and you have to find your own path, completely on your own, like you did, apparently, especially if you're in an age where you're so gullible and sometimes a bit lost and you need some guidance.
I think the answer is probably like neither. I feel like we should stop comparing ourselves in general. Like sometimes I really am like the world would be a better place without social media. Like there are great things about social media in terms of connection and staying in touch with people. But I think like that's maybe 20% of it. And the rest of it is this like toxic comparison where I'm
Yeah.
like, do I really need to see so many beautiful women every single day? Like the amount of like faces and images that we're exposed to, like this can't be good. And sometimes I'm thinking about like my older sisters, like my mom, and I'm like, they never had this, like this pressure. And I remember growing up feeling much focused on my appearance and like trying to talk about it with my sisters, and like they just didn't understand because like social media, how it is for us, was not the way it was for them. And they were like, I don't understand why you feel this way. And I think it's like really a product of the age of social media that we're in, that we're just exposed to so many things, and everything on sometimes my Instagram feed is super toxic, and it's like how to optimize this and how to do this and how to make this better, and just like constant like self-improvement, but to like a crazy level.
Yeah.
I'm like also when I say going back to basics. It's like wake up, drink your water, take care of yourself.
Yeah.
Like doesn't always have to be what is the best haircut for you and the hair color and how can you like have a snatched jawline. Like sometimes I'm like, whoa, Instagram is like really not it today. And how can you lose 10 pounds and how can you be toned and do this detox? And I'm like, where is this even coming from? And that's when I take like a little social media break. But I think it's really like I don't have a perfect mindset. Like sometimes I get sucked into that too. So it can be really tough to like use social media in a healthy way.
Yeah, totally. It's I saw because you were talking about so many beautiful faces on social media. I saw a post from Impact, and it's a thing that when you see too many attractive faces, it overwhelms you in a way that it takes you down in a downward spiral. And I was like, yeah,
Yeah.
it's
Can I tell you something that's maybe a bit like maybe you can cut this out after or you can keep it. I don't know. Sometimes I also get this way, like I'm on social media so much and I see so many beautiful faces, and you only post photos where you look good. You never post photos of like just you in your pajamas, right? So it's even just the people you work with and you're like, that person's so beautiful. And again, just seeing all these images. Sometimes in Berlin, they have these like naked spas, like nude spas, which is
yeah,
not a thing in America, but it's like very much a thing in Berlin. And I remember like the first time I went to one, I was like a bit shocked the first hour, just like, whoa, never seen so many naked people. But I was also like, I remember going to it and being like, I am so hot. Like I was like there and I'm like, you feel so good about yourself because you realize the average person does not look like Instagram. Like I don't even look like Instagram. I don't
yeah,
even look like what I look like on my photos, you know? Like those are photos where I have my hair done and my makeup done and I took an hour to get dressed for dinner that night. That's not like me every day when I'm going to work or running an errand. Like that's me being real. And when you go to these spas, no one's wearing makeup, no one has their hair done. It's just like them and their bodies. And you're like, this is the real population. Like this is real people. And you go outside and you walk around. And now whenever I have this feeling of like, I'm the ugliest person to walk this planet, I'm like, go outside, like go for a walk. People don't look like this. Like you're normal. Like you're a very normal looking person. And sometimes it's just that reality check. But when you're in Instagram, when you're sucked into that like beautiful faces, sometimes you don't realize it.
yeah.
Like sometimes you don't realize that you're in that little bubble and you need to like like have someone shake you and be like, go outside or like just have snap out of it.
I don't want to cut this out because I think this is such a good tip, Shanzi. Honestly, it's go to the beach, go to those like new places if ever you're in Berlin. There are plenty. But honestly, that's real gram. It's the like as you say, those are real bodies, not what you see on social media where everything is curated, where people just show the very best. So
Exactly. I remember before I went to Bali for the first time, I was like so stressed to go to Bali because all the photos you see of women or even like men in Bali, everyone is like beautiful with like six packs and like super toned. And then you're in Bali and for sure, people are really attractive and taking care of themselves a lot. But you're like, most of you are normal. Most of you are just like me. Like you're traveling from somewhere and coming here because it's warm and you look normal. And it's maybe the sunshine that everyone is drunk off of or whatever that makes them look so good. But I'm like, people are just normal. Like
Yeah.
the average person does not have a six pack. The average girl does not have her boobs up to here and like her hair and makeup done every day. Like those are not real. Maybe some people have that and that's great for them. But I'm like, the normal person is just normal.
Exactly. I love that, honestly. And in the end, I always ask myself, who cares about me being perfect in a way that I think has to be perfect? You know, who cares about that? I just remember that I, at some point, had kind of a revealing moment where I realized I have like my close circle of friends, my parents, my sister, my partner. And I asked myself, is it important to them that I look like that? And I realized they love me for my character. Like I have fun with them on a level that is everything that concerns everything but the way I look. That's when I realized it's the most unimportant thing, how I look. So
To the
that's
people who really care about you, it's the bottom of the list. And I think there's something human about wanting people to think you're attractive. But I don't think, as you mentioned, your true friends, your closest friends, like they're not your closest circle because of how you look. And I can say that very confidently about like my best friend. It's like, I don't think she gives a flying crap about what I look like, but it's all the fun memories and things we've gone through and conversations we've had. And it's like, I think again, it would be lying to say, oh, when you walk down the street and someone looks at you and there's like an attraction there, that's not human and normal to want. But it's like, that's not what a meaningful life is built off of.
yeah.
And
Yeah.
when I was younger, I would always think, I just need to be pretty. Because I was always smart. I always did well in school. I always got good grades. I was always like, that was never a stress for me. I was like, I'm capable. I can do well in school. I can get a good job. Like that was never something I stressed about. But being beautiful was something I really stressed about because I was like so obsessed with this, what I thought the standard of beauty was. And I was like, oh, I want to be beautiful. I want people to think I'm pretty. I want this like validation. And then when I started to get it, I was a bit like, I don't care for it. Like that's not really fun. I'm like,
Yeah.
you like me because I'm pretty, or like, oh, you came to talk to me because I'm pretty. Like I'm so much more than pretty.
Yeah.
It's very fleeting. And if that's like the foundation of a relationship, I'm a bit like, I have so much more to offer. Also, when I'm 50, I'm not going to look like this anymore. So then what? So I think it's like maybe everyone has to go through that phase and learn for themselves. But I really like, it was something in my 20s that I learned that like beauty is not something to strive for. It's like, if you want to, get dressed in the day and have your color analysis and put makeup on because you feel good about it and it makes you happy, then like more power to you. But like constantly looking for that validation from other people when it doesn't make you happy is not going to lead anywhere good. That's a very like shallow goal, I think, to pursue. And I think there's some people who love aesthetics and makeup and hair and outfits and that makes them happy. And I'm like, great, that makes you happy, do it. But I think that's also like in the fitness world or with wellness, if you're not doing it for yourself, like out of true intrinsic motivation, like that motivation is not going to last. If it's only to look good for other people, like I feel like that's a recipe to burn yourself out. I could go
I
on and about that.
Yes, me too. Me too. I think that topic and that was a beautiful closing statement. I I really love this. Maybe we should do another one on some other topics at some point.
It's so fun talking to you. I feel like I could chit chat forever.
I love this, Shanzi. Thank you so much. As maybe last question, if anyone wants to connect with you or find more about you, where can they find you apart from your studio in Barcelona?
I'm like happy to talk about any of this stuff with anyone that's interested. I think maybe the best place would be on LinkedIn or Instagram. Like, you can share the link on Instagram. I think I'm Shanz with like 3 H's. On LinkedIn, I'm just my full name, Shanaz Mahmood. And yeah, if like any of this interests someone, I'm like always open to chat.
Great stuff. I'll put all those links in the show notes. Thank you so much for tuning in. Bye-bye. That's a wrap on this episode of What the Flex. I hope you found some inspiration and motivation from today's conversation. And if you love this episode, please do subscribe, leave a review, and share it with someone who needs to hear it. You can connect with me on LinkedIn. Just search for What the Flex and let's keep the conversation going. Until next time, keep pushing, keep growing, and as always, keep flexing.